and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Anderson, and thank you again for joining me on this fine Monday, it is Tuesday, that kind of a day, on February 28th, 2023. I'm looking forward to seeing how they round out the month on February 28th, and how we can kind of continue moving forward. So I'm looking forward to it, and let's see where it goes. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, and that means that you will get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading, which is actually kind of interesting because sometimes it catches me off guard, and which is the whole point of doing it on the podcast with y'all, so you can actually see how I work through some stuff right here. And so that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll go from here. I have set up a Facebook page for this podcast, so if you want to go over and give a like or a follow to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk on Facebook, that would be appreciated. And you'll continue with any new updates or any new segments or quotes or anything else we have to share. So I'm looking forward to it. So thanks again for joining me today. So here we go. February 28th of James Allen's Daily Meditations. Let a man learn to stand alone. If a man can find no peace within himself, where shall he find it? If he dreads to be alone with himself, what steadfastness shall he find in company? If he can find no joy in communion with his own thoughts, how shall he escape misery in his contact with others? The man who has yet found nothing within himself upon which to stand will nowhere find a place of constant rest. Without a change and decay and insecurity within, all is surety and blessedness. The soul is sufficient of itself. Where the need is, there's the abundant supply. Your eternal dwelling place is within. Be rich in yourself. Be complete in yourself. Now, it's such a good reading. That is such a beautiful thing to remember. Just not even remember, but believe. And a person needs to be able to stand on their own 2 feet with who they are, their beliefs, their happiness, their contentment. It's really saying you need to be responsible for your own internal condition. That is yours to own. That is yours to hold on to and to manage. And that is yours to take care of. This is a hard lesson that I've learned, and I'm constantly learning better ways to do this and to maintain this, because for me it's something I need to maintain. It's getting more solidified as time goes by, for sure. And I've made a lot of progress personally with this, but I do need to be aware and maintain it, because I haven't worked out all of my stuff yet as best as I would like to, or as much as I would like to say I have not. So it's something to just keep in mind. So the way it opens up with, let a man learn to stand alone. Let a man learn to be who he is, who they are. Let a person learn to be who they are. To stand on their own 2 feet, to stand by themselves. That's an important place to be. That's an important thing to be able to do. To be able to stand and participate in life and take responsibility for your own internal self. He goes on to say, if a man can find no peace within himself, where shall he find it? This whole next bit of this actually is just beautiful, because it's really giving some solid examples of what someone called codependency and just external validation and things like that. Like when we seek externally to ourselves anything to give ourselves a certain feeling, that's a problem. That is a problem. So when he says here, if a man can find no peace within himself, where shall he find it? We can't find peace in a relationship. Peace is ourself. Peace is within our own soul. Serenity is within our own heart. This is not a joke. This has been my direct experience. That I've had to find this because everything external to me is temporary. Whether it be people, be things, or be places, it is all temporary. Life happens. People pass away. You have to be able to be responsible for this. And that's also a selfish thing to do, is to put your peace on the burden and shoulders of somebody else. That's yours. It's yours to hold on to. So we need to be able to find that internally to ourselves. If he dreads to be alone with himself, what steadfastness shall he find in company? If you can't even be comfortable in your own skin when you're by yourself, what are you actually bringing to a gathering of friends? What are you actually bringing? What you're asking for them to share their joy with you so you can take it internally to yourself? Why would anyone want? This is a hard question to ask, but if you don't want to be with you, why do you think other people would want to? And this is the problem too, because when you ask that question and you don't like the response, you'll try to build this false persona to try to give this false impression to other people. I've done that for years. Up until I was 29 years old, I was doing that. Even actually a little bit past that, it took me a while to weed it out. I still have the problem. Honestly, I still struggle from time to time with doing this. And that's where I need to take some time for me, some solitude, some meditation, some prayer, some real communion with God, as some might say, to get back to a place of steadfastness in my own soul. If he can find no joy in communion with his own thoughts, how shall he escape misery in contact with others? Again, I kind of just referenced this one for the last section we just read. But yeah, if you're bringing misery to the party, if you don't even want to be with yourself, you have to be able to walk through these things with your head up. You have to be able to be responsible for your own mental states, your own perspectives, and your own state of being. No joy in communion with thoughts. How shall he escape misery in his contact with others? It drives people away from us because we want them to listen and validate us and our own misery and stories we tell ourselves. And we really do push people away. The man who has yet found nothing within himself upon which to stand will nowhere find a place of constant rest. That's a painful one to hear sometimes, right? Because we have to find who we are. We have to find what we stand for. We have to find peace and joy and all of these things we just referenced. And know what we stand for, know where we stand, and know and be accountable for what we need, what's rightfully ours to be accountable for, right? We need to stand up and take on these responsibilities of our own opinions, perspectives, and emotions, and thoughts. That was a hard thing for me to do because I wanted everyone to like me for a long time. And because I didn't like myself, so I would bend and I'd waver and I'd manipulate, really, to get people to like me, just so I could say they liked me. And to take a step directly opposite to that, and still know I can be authentically and genuinely myself and project that. I don't have to hide myself or be ashamed of who I am or hate who I am. To actually have some acceptance of me in a really honest and full way to present to other people, to be steadfast in that. There's a level of authenticity that people respect and people want to have around. And that's the way I also am. It's also how you learn to respect yourself, is when you come to realize you will stand by your own opinions and perspectives and be willing to have a conversation about them and move forward. The man who has found nothing within himself upon which to stand will nowhere find a place of constant rest. There's no peace in that. There's no peace in that constant fluid character or personality. I've experienced that restlessness before. It's not fun. It's not fun to be just wandering aimlessly in life with no solid thing to say, this is who you are. It goes on to say, without, on the outside, without is change and decay and insecurity. On the outside, there's all of these things, all these like destructive things on the outside of us. Within is all surety and blessedness. Outside of us, we can never get what we're looking for. What we want, we can never ask for from the world and get what appropriately. These are things we must find within ourselves. These are practices and principles we must find within ourselves. Within us is all surety and blessedness. For those who want confidence, it's about finding who you are and standing on that. Standing on your opinion of these things. Standing on your understanding. He then says, the soul is sufficient of itself. That's enough. Your soul is enough. Who you are is enough to stand up and walk through this world. You don't need the validation externally or the love externally or the opinion externally, approval, whatever it is you're looking for outside of yourself. Anger, disapproval. Some people like to be hated. It says, where there is need, there is abundant supply. Your eternal dwelling place is within. Where you feel there is need, there's just work that needs to be done. And you'll be able to resolve these things internally and walk through them. And there's many ways to do that. A lot of it's through love. A lot of it's through acceptance. A lot of it's through taking a look at what selfish, self-centered intention we have, or what it's affecting, and then walking through that with our heads high and getting rid of that and moving it. And then suddenly we have this abundant supply of whatever it is, and confidence or just belief most of the time. And that's been very in line with my experience. And the more I grow and the more I walk in this spiritual life and spiritual way of living, the more that proves to be true. When I always have to look internally for that abundant supply, or for that validation, or that piece that I feel like I'm missing if I come across something that I notice that I'm doing. Your eternal dwelling place is within. That's where you will always be. You might reach outside of you at some points. You might be external to yourself in some ways, like interacting with people and having participating in whatever it might be. But your eternal dwelling place is within. That's where it always originates. That's where you actually are. We give a lot of energy external to ourselves in a lot of ways, but that's where you'll always find you, is inside of yourself. It ends with, be rich in yourself, be complete in yourself. When you find that person, that self-acceptance we're talking about, when you're able to celebrate who you are without the approval to do so by anyone else, you'll find confidence and peace more than you ever thought was possible. You'll find comfort there. And you'll find the ability to do anything and progress forward in life, standing on your own. Just a great reading today. Great reading. Our problems are always our problems, not for someone else to fix. And it's the inner work that needs to be done. Like they said, like it's always said, I keep saying, it's the inner work that needs to be done. A change externally is only temporary until you do the inner work as well. You could act yourself into a certain way, into a certain presentation, but until you change the thing motivating you to not act that way or to act differently, it will revert back. So, thank y'all for joining me again today, and I really appreciate it. It was a great reading today, and a great way to end the month out. And let me tell you, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing what March brings us as well, and we'll kind of go from there. So, I appreciate it. Thanks. Until next time.